Now we have our cow sitting there blinking at us. But what do we do next to make this like a game? What is our game going to be? So how we want this to work is a certain amount of time passes by. Let's say 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, the cow is going to pop out milk. Then the user can collect that milk by clicking on it. And then 30 more seconds pop by, another thing of milk pops out, and you click it. And now you have more milk. And the milk is going to be like our points, and we're going to do stuff with our points later. But 30 seconds is kind of a long time to wait for a cow to produce milk. So we're going to make it so whenever the user clicks on the cow, it makes that timer skip a little bit of time and get a little bit faster, get a little bit. They call it a clicker game. The more you click, the more points you get. So we're going to make it so you click the cow, milk pops out, you click the milk, and then you come back, click the cow. And that's the beginning of our game. Let's go ahead and hit stop. Let's start with our cow. Let's make it so every 30 seconds it pops out milk. First, we need some milk for it to pop out. So over here we have our cow group. We're going to right click, say create group, and we're going to make our milk group. So we need two things. We need an object and a sprite. Sprite is going to be SPR milk and create object obj milk. And then over here it says no sprite. We're going to give it the SPR milk as a sprite. Okay, and our sprite doesn't show anything. We need some milk. You can draw a bottle of milk. You can draw whatever, a bucket of milk, whatever you want. I'm going to import this milk carton I found. Very cute. All right, and so that's my milk. So now if I go back to my obj milk, I can see we have milk. Now that we have a milk object, we could go to our cow, and we need two events. We need a create event, and then you can come up here and click this plus, and then we need a step event. So click create and step. So first thing we need our milk, our time to produce milk. And this is going to be 30 seconds. The way GameMaker keeps track of how much time has passed is actually in microseconds. There are 1 million microseconds in 1 second. So if, say, I want this to be 30 seconds, I can't just write 30 seconds. Instead, I can just multiply this number by 1 million, which is 6 zeros. And I like to say 1 million times 30 so that I can just click on this line and then change how many seconds it is. I'm never going to change this number of 1 million. And then we're going to call this next one time, milk time or something. And this is going to keep track of how much time has passed since last time we made milk, right? And so right now, how much time has passed? 0. So we're going to start it off at 0. So how to keep track of how much time has passed, in the step function, we can make a var time passed. And what do we set that to? GameMaker gives us something called delta time. And delta time will always have the value of how much time has passed since last time step was called. And so if we call step 60 times a second, then delta time is going to be 1/60th of a second every time. So what we could do is add how much time has passed to our milk time. And when that's bigger than this time, then we know that this much time has passed. So let's write that in code. Milk time plus equals time passed. So that we're going to add time passed to milk time. And so remember, plus equals means make this value bigger by this much. Then we could say if milk time is bigger than, so greater than or equal to, that's how we do greater than or equal to in programming. Maybe I should make my font a little bit bigger. Okay, so if milk time is greater than or equal to milk, and then we give it some mustaches. So what do we want to do when the milk time is bigger than time to produce? First, we want to create a milk. And then we want to reset our timer. Okay? So resetting our timer is easy. We just say milk time 0. And then next time we come into the step, it'll be 0 plus time passed. And then that won't happen. And then we'll just keep step until it gets big enough, and then it'll reset on and on forever. But how do we create a milk? You use the function create instance create, and there's 2 ways to create it. One is create by depth, or create on a layer. And if we look at this doc here, it says as defined in the room editor, the layer in the room editor. So this is actually going to be the one we're going to use, and I'll explain to you why. If we use instance create depth, this requires you to give it a number. So let's say we say milk is on layer 10, and then the cow is on layer 5. Whoever's bigger is going to be drawn closer to the camera, so it'll be on top of them. And you got to kind of keep track of those things. You could do some really cool stuff, like you can have some milk appear behind trees or whatever. But in this simple game, I think it'll just be easier to say, we're going to put let's go to our room editor. These are the layers. And we have an instances layer and a background layer. Instances is our default layer where we put objects, but we can create more of those. And so we can create, so by clicking this plus button and going to instance, we can create a milk layer. And then we can rename this layer. I just right-clicked it, and we can hit rename layer, and we could call this the cow layer. And so we could put all of our cows on this layer and all of our milks on this layer. And I'm just going to show you what we could do with this, but you don't need to do this part. But if I added a milk to this layer, so I made sure milk layer was selected, I could put it over on top of the cow. See how it's on its face? You can't see the cow's face. But over here, if I rearrange the layer, I'm putting milk behind cow. So now the milk is behind the cow. And so this way, we will always know milk will always be drawn in front of or behind, whatever you want, all the cows. And so I'm going to put it on front because I actually want the user to notice the milk the most and want to click milk before clicking the cow. If they're just sitting here clicking the cow, clicking the cow, clicking the cow, and they make a whole bunch of milk, they're not ever going to get points for collecting the milk. So we want the milk get their attention. So being in front of any of our cows will get us more attention. All right, I'm going to delete the milk, but I'm going to keep the milk layer just like this. And we're going to go back to our obj cow. Instance create depth. I'm going to erase that. We don't need that. But we want to create an instance on a layer. And so if this isn't visible, this helper text, you could do hold control and click the space bar, and it will pop it back up for you. So it wants us to give it, where on the screen do you want to put it? For now, we're just going to put it at the same place our cow is at. And we're inside of our cow's code. And so X and Y is our cow. Layer ID, this could be a string or id.layer. We're going to give it a string. That means it has quotes. So I'm going to put in the quotes. And what did you name the layer? I named mine milk with a capital M. So I typed M-I-L-K. Just double check your room, look here, and make sure it's spelled exactly the same way as here. And you can even go rename layer and make sure there's no spaces or anything. Just make sure it's perfect. Okay, back to our cow. And control space, pop that back up. All right, that's our layer ID. And then comma. Now we want to give it an object. This object is, what object do we want to create? And it even pops these up as a help for me. I can even see my little milk carton there. So I want to create a milk. And then comma. Oh, var struct. We're not actually going to use it. And you can see it has these little square brackets. That means it's optional. And so I'm actually going to erase that last comment, and I'm not going to do that. We're not going to worry about that right now. And now that creates a milk. So if we run this game and wait 30 seconds, we should see a milk pop up at the same position our cow is on. Let's try it. I don't want to wait, so I'm going to change it to 5. I'm going to run it. And I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Milk. Perfect. So there's our milk. Although I don't love that it's putting everything in the corner. So I'm going to stop our game. And I'm going to go to our sprites. And there's this little bullseye here. It's kind of hard to see. It's very light gray on top of slightly darker gray. What that is, it says, hey, when I say put the cow here on the screen, am I saying to put the corner of the cow there, the middle of the cow there, the bottom of the cow there? What am I saying? And so by default, it always puts it in the top left corner. In this game, I'm going to want it to be middle center. So I'm going to choose middle center in this drop down, and that will automatically put it there. Some games, it's nice to put it at the feet of your character. Some games, you just don't care and you just leave it wherever. But I'm going to put it middle center for all the sprites in this game. So I'm going to do it middle center for the cow. And then I'm going to go to the sprite milk, and I'm going to do the same. Middle center. And now when I run the game, you'll see the cow moved, because now we told it to put the cow here. Oh, see, now the milk goes in the middle. We told it to put the cow right here, and before it would put the cow here in the corner. And so, but now we're saying the middle. When you change those, you might have to go back to your room and choose the layer the cow is on and move the cow where you actually want it. And now when I run the game, my cow's in the middle, and every 5 seconds I get a milk.